archive and subsequent broadcasts available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and the Data Protection Act of 2018. We broadcast and record Council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with Council public policies available through the Council's website. Members of the Council are reminded that they should follow the Council's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public. They will also receive invites to the meeting. Okay. Do we have any apologies, substitutions, or declarations of interest?
Convener, there are no apologies. We'll move to a roll call.
Okay.
Can the following councillors please indicate if they're present at the meeting? Councillor Brooks.
Chamber.
Councillor Cassidy.
Present remotely.
Councillor Clockerty.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Crowther.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Curley.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Jackson.
In the chamber.
Councillor McCabe.
Present in chamber.
Councillor McCormick.
President Chamber.
Councillor Nelson. Don't seem present.
It was expected, so I don't know what's happened.
We can get Diane to phone. Councillor Quinn.
Present chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Yourself, I declaration of interest on the private part of business that we get to.
Okay.
Also in private business when we get to it.
Okay. Yes.
Declaration for transparency. After applying the objective test, don't think to leave the room. The decision has been made. It's related to items 9 and 10 on the agenda due to my membership of the Clyde Homes Board as a council appointee, and item number 12 due to my membership of the Clyde Planning Committee.
Okay. Thank you. Members will welcome Councillor Pussy to the chamber later. Councillor Pussy, a question on respect to item 3, which I'm happy to accommodate. Okay, you want to the agenda papers. Item number 2 is the Environment Regeneration Revenue Budget, which is 31st of December 23. Susan, what you just know?
We've been at that point, it's exactly on page 2 of the form. I'm sure this is your input. I've noticed that in the regular paragraph 3.3, it should read £160,000, representing 0.66%. Given the challenges which we face, including significant under recoveries in 1950 for £262,000 associated with car parking, and it not been for local recovery of £310,000 against unlocal reviews, which would be managed cost issues we can be happy to handle the maths.
Okay, thanks. Matt, do you want to get through the agenda?
Thank you, Convener. Yes, that's just covered quite a lot I was going to say anyway. What we'd ask the members will maybe notice there's 2 environments in Appendix 5 they're asked to agree, just to give a bit of context to them. If you remember, we had to bring the commercial waste function into a break-even position. For several years now, we've not inflated internal costs in there, so we're having to inflate them up to the same standards as the external ones to bring it in line. There's no impact on the council. We increase our income, we increase the costs on the service side, so it's a nil impact. It's just to bring that back in line. And the other environment in there is obviously to bring the pay award from the central pot in to pay for the committee's increase in employee costs this year. You're also asked to note that there's a excess of planning income. The intention is to earmark some of that to assist with the local development plan costs in the future. So the members are asked to note that, and then we'll remit that to P&R for formal approval. I think that covers anything, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Is Joanne anything to that? Joanne, do anything to add to that?
No, Convener.
No. Okay. Any questions for Matt? John? Any questions? What's going on online? Can I get a recommendation? Okay. It's okay. Item number 3 is the Environment Regeneration Capital Programme from the 23 to 26. Eddie. Is there anyone here now? Okay, Stuart, talk. Okay, sure.
Through your convener, with the variety of projects which are contained within the capital programme, I know Eddie didn't intend to include any of them in any detail, but we're happy to begin questions.
Okay, thanks, Stuart. Any questions? Good.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Convener. Page 19, 3.50, the in-stream joint venture board. I just wonder, obviously, I know it's externally funded, but is there any update for us that's relevant? And I also believe there's a place to do a site visit. I just feel those are two half questions.
Okay, sure.
In terms of the update, clearly the most significant part of the GP activity today has been carrying out the city building activities, which was £9.47 million being spent on key walls, clearing the site, roads infrastructure, new electrical installations, and having a new module map or an extension module map. Probably works for completed that at the end of February. And it's certainly the intention that we have a site visit for all members available to go and inspect where we are working student GPU. And we will, in course of time, bring reports to committees as part of the regular updates.
Thank you.
Okay, no. Martin, I think your hand was up before John put his light on. You've got a question?
Thanks, convener. It's just to ask the question that was submitted in advance under Standing Order 65D. So it's just with regards to updates on towns and village centres and further to my members' request of June 2022 regarding the regeneration of Shore Street, Gourock. What work has been undertaken by officers since then and what plans there are to bring forward proposals in response to this request? Thank you.
Okay, Martin, thanks. Jennifer, you tell us. You're on mute, Jennifer.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The consultants inside FAR have been appointed to do town centre action plans across all 3 town centres. And in the preparation of that work, we will ensure that that includes Shore Street, and there'll be consultation done with the local community. They are due to report back in the summer, which will result in the report then being brought back to committee, which is likely to be after the summer recess.
Yeah, sure.
You can bear just add to what Jennifer said, Councillor McCluskey. Part of the consideration was to identify any potential funding sources for Gourock Town Centre, and to date there haven't been any funding sources which have been available for that.
Okay. John.
Thank you, convener. On 3.22, which is page 16 of the hard copy, we have the seawalls and retaining walls. And I was just wondering that when this exercise has been fully completed, if a report could be brought back to members indicating exactly what land is owned by Inverclyde Council. It's similar to the question that was raised some time ago by the Save Inchgreen Dry Dock campaign, when they wished to know what land belonged to Peel and the other Peel ports. So if that could be taken into account, it would be much appreciated.
You can do what the report will identify as the council's ownership, and what we've not got the resource to do is go into the coastal wall because it's rather owners.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. You know, it was just really a comment. It's just that I was used to seeing powerful reports in education that were really quite thick. It seems it's now moved to this committee, and there's been an awful lot of work done by Eddie and Steve and Jennifer Stewart team as well, from town centre regeneration, levelling up West Hall Street to fixing the town hall. I just want to commend the amount of work they've done, and it must be a really busy time that they haven't. But just to say well done,
Yeah. Okay. Can we have recommendations? Okay, item number 4 is the Environment Regeneration Committee Building Improvement Plan 23 to 26 of performance report. No.
The Environment Regeneration Committee approved the committee delivering improvement plan in May last year, and this is the first update report. You'll see from paragraph 3.7 that there are a number of actions which have been completed. We will also see from that there are a number of actions which have slipped beneath and identified in paragraph 3.3. Officers have plans in place to address these slippages, including an update which has been obtained in today's paper. The detailed KPIs for practice and I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, sure. Any questions for Stuart? First.
Just with respect to the slippages, I note that there's mitigations are in place. Just a comment from officers whether they consider that the mitigations will be sufficient to reduce risk of these slippages.
So you can be aware of what's in our control, Councillor. Yes, obviously you recognise that one of the considerations is the substrata funding for West Hall Street. So we have mitigated the risk as we can in respect of the first phase, but we're still waiting to find out what the situation is with regards to substrata funding for the new financial year. Officers have been in regular contact with substrata in respect of that. And you could argue, should this be slippage, given the situation we find ourselves in? And I suppose that's the transparency which the report provides members, whereby we are very transparent, where we see opportunities that have moved back the way in the reporting and accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe that's my wish. Okay. Okay, and 5 is road and transportation. The proposed one, capital program for 24-25.
Thanks again. The report seeks approval for the roads asset management and walking safer routes programme for 2024-25. The criteria used to prioritise the schemes across the various strands is outlined in section 3. Detail of the proposed schemes included in appendix 1. That's the committee approved recommendations and applicants to approve.
Thanks, Ed. Any questions for one of the last? No, maybe that's what it is. Okay, item number 6. Capital charges.
Yeah, that's good. The report provides the committee with an update on position in respect of car parking income. The report also outlines the various changes implemented since the original adoption charges in the report of 2014. It also includes an analysis of the income over the years and how that has been affected by the increase in bail charges introduced in 2018 and more recently through post-COVID changes in working patterns like items and people working from home. A number of options were considered as outlined in the report with the various pros and cons associated with each, including the estimated financial implications. The officer recommendation is to leave the current arrangements in place in the short term, with the exception of the introduction of a mobile app, which will introduce a payment functionality beyond the current cash-only machines. The cost of that and the current parking income shortfall is being met from the Public Business Contingency as agreed at the Inflate Council meeting on the 4th of February. It's also proposed that a report be brought back to this committee in the medium term to consider standardisation of the parking policy across the country. Thus, the committee approve the recommendation.
Thanks, Ed. Roll call that week, standardisation of the car parking charges. Stephen.
Can I ask in respect of paragraph 3.3 and the 2 car parks where was outstanding what we've done in the TRO process? What's the sort of way forward with the sort of next years?
Home Gordon can help me with that particular question, Gordon, in terms of timescales.
Sorry, apologies, I couldn't find my unmute. So is that sorry, Councillor McCabe, can you repeat that again because I couldn't quite hear you?
Where are we the TRO process for what we're doing in Princes Street?
Yeah, so those ones were paused with the maintained objections. So the idea would be to take those forward again, and we would keep the maintained objections and go out again for the TRO for them, and that would implement the I think there's only 2 that are still outstanding. But I think that's is that not listed in 2.5 of the report that'll be brought back, because that's the Lochwinnock Road and the Princes Street Port Glasgow one.
Yeah, it's just to understand sort of the timescales in that process.
Yeah, so it's the TRO process, isn't it? So it'll depend whenever.
There's no, I'm not pushing for you, I'm looking for an indicative timescale.
So 12 months, a year for the TRO process.
Make it 2.
Okay, Glenn.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I just think it's some directive 2.2. Obviously, sadly, says we don't have capital for the cashless machines. I get that disappointed with that, nevertheless, that's where we are. But yet we are going to use the apps. So I'm trying to understand, is there something there with the commentary? So is that, will the apps be available for all machines or all parking? If there's not the cashless machine available on site, are we just going to change the signs to tell people that? I confused me, but I'm easily confused.
Yeah, through you. Yeah, sorry, through you, convener. So this is a brand new initiative from the UK government that they're trying to bring. So there's a whole load of different providers that can give you this cashless parking. So the idea is that they bring this all together in one app, and there will just be a sticker on the side of the machine. So we're at the very, very early stages of this. We've signed up to it. And we're just waiting for them to develop it and bring it forward. Don't ask me how it works in the background, because I don't know yet. So don't ask me that question, because I've not been told all that yet. But it will bring together. It will make it easier for the general public to be able to pay cashless at the machines.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Bob. So, Glenn, that question to ask us.
I know you're trying I'm still going to ask about it.
You happy with that?
I'm not going to. So, because basically, we don't really know how it's going to work. So, I'm not as daft as I thought it was. Thank you very much, Kieran.
I suppose just a supplementary on that point. I suppose it does mean that we're not master of our own destiny with respect to this app, because obviously there are commercially available apps, and there's, as Mr. Leach said, there's probably hundreds of them. They've all developed around, and I think it's probably a good idea that there's going to be a standardisation, because you don't want to have about 15 apps on your phone. But I'm just wondering if officers could identify sort of the timescale for what we think the implementation could be, because obviously it's something we think would actually help people to actually use the car parks. But if you're to be, do we have an idea about how long it will take for this national app to come about?
Sure.
Through you, convener, obviously it's under review, Councillor Carroll. However, if we haven't taken positive action within a period of 3 to 4 months, we will review that, and then we'll take a decision as to whether we have to do something in the interim period.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we agree with that recommendation? Yes. Thank you. Item number 30 is Ken Report for 1 year study findings.
Thanks, Convener. Report placed committee on the findings of the study conducted in the current drive Europe One Way seeks approval to progress a non-statutory consultation on the proposed scheme. It's just to note that there's a small typo in 1.3, which should obviously read Stafford Street and North Road. It's just on this page, and it's correct for the rest of the report. But the background is set out in the detail within section 3 with the appendix 1. The modelling demonstrates that the one-way operation of Current Drive could be implemented without having a significant adverse impact on the wider road network. Also, recommendations are that traffic regulation order be promoted to make Current Drive one-way and outlined in the proposed section, including the introduction of traffic caps addressing associated increase in vehicle speeds. And the rest of the committee approved the recommendations, and myself and Gordon are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so any questions for Ken? One.
Yeah, thanks. You won't be surprised that I've got a couple of questions. So first of all, to mention that Bill Oliver is sitting behind me here. So Bill was the guy that instigated the petition. Actually, he was in here one of the last committees before lockdown. So March 2020 was one of the last committees before we went into lockdown and got his petition passed. So I just want to pay tribute to him, because he was just a guy that seen a problem in his area and decided that he was going to campaign, and he has been relentlessly campaigning for 11 years. So we're delighted that we're not there, but we're pretty much further down the road. So which is great. So obviously we've got the consultation, so none of this is finalised. We've still got to go through that consultation process, which is great because there's probably a number of questions that Bill also has, but hopefully that will be ironed out in the consultation. So I've just got questions that come from the community, and it was just around why we half of Current Drive and not the full Current Drive, and also particularly around Stafford Street as well. Because one end of Stafford Street probably got a similar problem, so it's kind of why we only have a Stafford Street and not a full Stafford Street. Thanks.
Problems with that?
I'll take the Current Drive one first. I think the first section, when it gets past St Ninian's School, there's not an issue. I think the only reason we're doing this is because of the issues with the parked cars and the traffic trying to get past the parked cars. So that's why we're not doing the full length of it, and it only goes to Divot Road, because if it goes any further, then it takes you right to the end. So Divot Road's the end to take you out and leave the rest of it two-way. Stafford Street, the report say it slightly increase. If we do the whole length of Stafford, it slightly increases the traffic volumes around the other roads. So that's why it's only half of it. So that's the reason for that one.
Okay. What was that question on, sorry?
No, that's great, and just thanks Gordon and the other officers are finally getting this over the line. I know COVID and there's been a number of delays, but for various reasons, so we're just glad that things are progressing. And just one last point to do, we've got an idea of when that consultation will be and what's the timescales for getting that through the kind of system.
The consultation will be in the next couple of months, and then it's will probably be another month, 2 months going through it, and then it will be after that there'll be a report back to committee, and then do the formal consultation. So we're probably starting the process, and then, as I've said before, the TRO process is 12 months probably in the process. So in between time, we need to do the detailed design. We've not got the detailed design yet, so before we do the consultation, we need to do the detailed design in the scheme, because that's not been completed. So the first thing that I need to do is go away and get a plan layout of what the area is going to look like and what traffic calming measures are going to go in, and then we'll do the consultation.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Katrina. I think I just, from our perspective, just want to get an idea of clarity about the different consultation, because we've got an informal consultation first, which presumably we'd be expecting to get some initial feedback from residents about the proposals, and that might then inform the detailed design and the design goes out for formal consultation. Would that be correct?
Councillor Curley, I need to show them something rather than show them a blank plan. So I would do an outline design first of all, and then that'll be the one we'll consult on. And then if there is any changes, now I'm not expecting any major changes, so I would expect that one that's ready to go to consultation will be the one that we go with.
Right. So when we go out to the non-statutory consultation, there will be an outline plan. And then if you get any feedback from that, hopefully we don't get significant feedback, and then that will then drive the statutory consultation. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, very happy with that. Yeah. Okay. Agree recommendation. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 8 is the business support interventions. Jennifer.
Thank you, convener. The purpose of this report is to reallocate unspent COVID funds to business development interventions, which will provide businesses with support and grants. The interventions have been designed in response to requests to the business development team for about challenges and the need for support that local businesses have shared with them. The interventions include incubator space, export grants, digital assistance, commercial premises startup, enhancing existing startup grants, and business wellbeing. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer? No. Yeah. Sorry, one. I didn't say it right on. Sorry.
Okay. Jennifer, it's not really a question, you'll be glad, so it's just a comment to make. So I attended the Women in Business event in the Grand Corridor last Tuesday, so I just really want to thank yourself and Anne McIntosh for organising that. It was great to see all those women in the Grand Corridor, and also looking through the grants, it's great to see that a number of them are 100% funded, because it's actually come out in the study that women don't tend to have access to capital to set up their own business or to continue. So not having the capital to put a 50% deposit into the schemes, we're not having that. So it's great to have that 100%, so that we can actually, qualify for the funding as well. So just my thanks to yourself and Anne. Thank you.
Okay, from agree recommendations? Yep. Item number 9 is the former Clun Park Primary School and Clun Park Church sites in Port Glasgow. Eddie?
Thanks, Stephen. The report provides a committee with a summary of the costs incurred to date associated with the stabilisation of the former Clun Park Primary School building, which was extensively fire damaged in August last year. And it also outlines the options considered for that building and provides information on the adjacent former church building, which is also in very poor condition. Officers have utilised information from the engineering consultant engaged currently to assess the building, and the contractor currently on site to inform the various costs and options presented within the report. Assumptions have been made on the scope of any facade retention, as outlined in Appendix 4. Appendices 1 to 3 contain information on the listed building status of the both buildings and photographs from the engineering reports which show the condition of the buildings. The costs associated with bringing any retained element of the former Clun Park Primary School building back into use have been based on cost data from live, new build and retrofit projects such as the King George VI project that's currently on site. Given the significant cost involved in options A and B, the officer recommendation is option C, and it's the provision of listed building consent applications for demolition. That's the committee recommendation. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Any questions for Eddie? Chris?
Thank you, and I thank Eddie for answering some of the questions I had with respect to the Clun Park School building offline. My concern is I'm not at a position at the moment to go for the recommendation of the demolition on the former Clun Park School. I think basically there's probably a case to be made for demolition of the church, but I would like to get a bit more detail about possible retention options with respect to the school, given that it was only recently that we did actually have that as a master plan. So what I'm basically saying, I'm not saying no to demolition, but I think I would like to do a little bit more scoping out exercise with respect to the options for retention of the sandstone element of the Clun Park School, and understand that might be similar to option A, but I'd like to wonder if it's possible to get that presented as an option before a decision is made for demolition.
Stephen?
I'm sure officers wanted it.
Right, okay. Eddie, you want to come back on that?
Yeah, so you can be, I mean, at the moment, obviously, we've made some assumptions in terms of what the retention element would be, which is only really the stone facade. And I know that corresponding on some of the detail of that, and I haven't come back on the latest request, but I have spoken to the engineer earlier today, and the advice again was that in the existing building, the stone building, which dates back to the original late 1800s, as the listing, there's very little other than timber flooring. We have probably retained 2/3 of that and not removed it at the moment because it's what's holding up the stone facade currently. The advice is if you were to look at a facade retention that is going to keep something there for 2 to 3 years, which is likely to be the case before we get a development partner on board, then you would not be able to keep that floor there for that length of time, and it certainly wouldn't be something you'd reuse and only maintain the element of the building. So you would be looking at facade retention of those elevations. And that is going to come with a cost that is similar to those that we've quoted in the report in front of you. So whatever options you look at, I think for retention of stone facades is going to come with an associated cost that is in the area of what we've presented in this report. There are not going to be significant differences, and that's all I can put back on that particular point at the moment.
That's helpful. Sure. One of the things we've got to look at here is risk, and it's the risk of danger to the public. Now, that's not risk of danger to the public that collapse out of me, but the public are accessing this site on a regular basis, as is evidenced by the fact that we've got cameras on the site and it's dangerous. Eddie's highlighted the fact that it's a minimum of 2 to 3 years, and with any potential public sector partner in the form of an RSL, we will look at the viability of the site. And whilst I agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Curley that the school is in the master plan, it will have a material bearing on the viability of the project going forward. This is not within our gift. We need to demolish the school because we have to apply for historic environment Scotland in order for us to be able to demolish both components. So it's not a final decision by the council or the committee in this stage. It's a decision to apply to historic environment Scotland for demolition. And in terms of delaying the process, I would counsel the committee against delaying the process because this isn't going to get any better.
So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate and respect that Chris's desire to try and retain as much of our built heritage as we possibly can. And Chris and I have had discussions offline about this. And it was undoubtedly an issue that was prevalent back in 2007 and 2008 when we were discussing the future of Clone Park Primary School. For those who weren't members of the council at the time, the Liberal Democrat administration had decided to close High Holme, Stone, and Slingmuir primaries and build a big new primary, which is now called Newark. And they decided not to include, for some bizarre reason, Clone Park Primary in that proposal. So when I became into the council and indeed the convener education at the time, we carried out a further review, and the proposal was put forward to close Clone Park Primary, and it was very contentious. There's no doubt about it. There was 1,000 people signing the petition, and the SNP group at the time opposed it. But there were 60 children in the school, a Victorian school, rattling about in composite classes, albeit small composite classes, while a few hundred yards up the road there were 400 plus children in a £10 million new state-of-the-art primary school. And I absolutely believed at the time that the right thing for those children was to close Clone Park Primary and move them to Newark. And there's nothing that's happened since then that has changed my mind. We've seen the deterioration of Clone Park ever since. And can you imagine having a school at this point in time in the Clone Park estate? Absolutely not. A second. But I suppose we knew at the time, and part of the reasons for objections was people's emotional attachment to the Clone Park Primary School. And Jim McLeod, our late colleague, was a former pupil, and he was absolutely at the forefront of the opposition to the closure of Clone Park, maybe because of that emotional attachment. So we always knew that this day, in some senses, was going to come, that we'd have to make a decision over the future of Clone Park. And I suppose before the fire, you could argue there was a strong case one way and a strong case the other. But I think the fire has fundamentally changed the economics. I don't believe for a second that it's economically viable to redevelop this school, either for social housing or indeed for private housing. Not in a month for Sundays would it be economically viable. And I respect Chris's professional expertise as a structural engineer, and I'm sure it's possible, absolutely possible, but not economically. It's absolutely not. I was an association finance manager by background, and there's simply no way to economically redevelop this site. And the danger is we leave it lying there for a long number of years, responsibilities and costs associated with that. So I don't think there is any rational alternative, in my opinion, to the recommendation in the report from officer, so I'm happy to move the recommendation. So I got the blame for closing Bloom Park Primary School back in 2008, and I may as well get the blame for being the person to move that we progress that application for demolition.
Thanks, Steve. Ken?
Yeah, thanks very much. My comments were going to be related to the heritage, and obviously our proposal to gain and to retain, should I say, heritage as best we can. But that comes at a price, and I think officers have laid out, a very great detail here of the price of heritage. I don't have the background to Professor McCabe in the school, nor the financial as he has in RSLs. But the officers have laid out papers, and that's what I'm going to take my thoughts on. It's not our wish when you think about it. We wished for that school to be retained and be brought into the master plan. So I suppose on the question, and I realise we're probably meeting, the fire has the one that's made the difference here. So it wasn't malicious, was it criminal, was it accidental? Because I'm not too sure if there's a police investigation, I'm sure we can't say anything about it. But the public need to know that if the fire was the issue and it was malicious or accidental criminal, that's the major factor of the fact before us today. We have a recommendation to take it to the next stage for demolition, and that's a decision I would support. But it'd be really interesting to know how that fire started.
Have we got that information, Sean?
No, clearly the building was very wet, and it could be assumed that there was some kind of accelerant applied to it because of the height of flames. We've not got any formal position in respect of how the fire started.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, but when it comes to older buildings like this, the design of them, the high roofs are high rooms within them and all the rest of it, that don't really normally fit in with redevelopment. Is that true? I think that's one of the problems with Bureau roadworks as well.
Sure. If members look at the photographs on page 109, you'll see that that's the primary elevation which is under consideration for prevention. You will see that there's a total of 8 windows at the upper floor, followed by 6 windows in a row at the lower level. So any configuration that any developer would have to take account of that. Now, I would agree with you that that would normally be what you would consider a typical flat dwelling arrangement, but that said, it could be built around it. But when you then look at the voids that are created to the left and right hand side of the windows, then it becomes a large area of any potential room which not necessarily serviceable to the light. But there are many buildings, Councillor Nelson, which could be considered as historic buildings where there's been applications made in respect of conversion. The concern by officers in this one is the costs associated with the retention, and then the burden of costs that are associated with that going forward in terms of the redevelopment of it. Mr McDonald, I'm sure, is capable of quoting the price of redevelopment costs versus new costs at this moment in time. And compared to where we were probably 6-7 years ago, the costs of new build are astronomical, and the costs of retained features are even worse.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Chris.
Yeah, I'm listening to the debate. I have to say, I think my preference would have been for retention, and I suppose what I take from officers are saying, though there was quite a lot of degradation in the actual structural fabric of the building, that the fire has actually made it the situation that what would have been safe to keep in even that degraded state is no longer safe for 2 to 3 years, whereas prior to that we could have had, say, 5 years with it was a great building, but a building that was stable. So now the fire's changed that, and now we have to have this investment, and I'm conscious of the fact that if you actually look at the monies that's allocated to Bloom Park, if we were to spend money on this particular building, the value for money we would be getting for that wouldn't necessarily be the best bang for a buck. So with respect to what we actually are applying for is to Historic Environment Scotland for permission to demolish the building. Is that correct? And then if we get a response to come back, we'd be getting another report to committee to make whether or not to make the decision then, or how we'd actually handle the demolition. Because I'm conscious of the fact that if we get a permission to demolish, doesn't necessarily mean we have to. But I'm also conscious of the fact is that if we get permission to demolish and get the decision to demolish, it's also how you demolish it, because there's certain aspects of the building that you might want to try and retain within a Clune Park development. And I know there's maybe been a check of history in part of demolition of buildings in Inverclyde of historic value. We've had the Harbour Trust building, which is still supposedly somewhere. But I'm just wondering if that comes back, when we get a decision from Historic Environment Scotland, we can look at how we can maybe, within the constraints, look at how we can actually salvage as much as we can from the building.
Through you, Chair. Clearly, the Historic Environment Scotland will have a view on this. There are features on the front facade which may be of interest or some kind of retention, and that could be part of the demolition process as Councillor Turley's alluded to. We will of course bring back the decision of the Historic Environment Scotland to committee. It may be just an open position because it comes back to the fact that our recommendation remains to demolish if we are granted that permission. So I wouldn't want to delay the process associated with this because it is costing money just now, keeping it a secure site, having staff attend every time that there's an intrusion into the site. So on that basis, happy to bring the report back, happy to consider any considerations that the report will be for noting based on the outcome of the Historic Environment Scotland position.
So the report would be for implementing the demolition as opposed to deciding. Yeah. No, I can understand that. What would be the timescales for the Historic Environment Scotland?
And same way Mr. H said, don't ask me. I'm not in a position to clarify how long Historic Environment Scotland will take on this. Obviously, we'll be pushing on the basis that we have had the building in its current condition for some considerable period of time. The main route through Clune Park is currently closed as a result of an exclusion zone in the area. So we would hope that we'd be able to expedite a reasonably speedy response from them. I can't put things on.
Okay, we have to make a recommendation. Great. Thank you. Okay, item number 10 is local housing strategy, which we're going to be taking by Martin, but it's not here, so Stuart will take this up.
Yeah, you can do that. So you recall in November last year, the committee approved the local housing strategy. At the time, members were advised that the outcomes should be reviewed by the steering groups and the outcome delivery groups, and this has now happened. The revised action plan is contained in Appendix 1 and is identified as actions within the 4 themes of the people in Inverclyde live in quality homes and connected communities, find it easier to access and sustain a home, are supported to live independently and well at home, and live in good quality carbon-friendly and efficient homes which reduce fuel poverty. Each of the actions will be monitored through the performance management system with an annual report. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, just to ask a question, I think I asked this at the last committee, but it's related to the local housing strategy, specifically to the local housing investment plan. Obviously, the recently approved Scottish Government budget cut the affordable housing investment programme quite significantly. Have we had any information yet from Scottish Government Housing Division as to how that will impact in Inverclyde?
You can be that one assistant one? No.
No.
So when you get that information, bring it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Happy to obviously read this. It's good to hear the updated information. The question that comes to my mind is how weight would the planning board, acknowledge we're not the planning board, the lawyer sitting here, how much of this information then weighs the planning board? Because some of the things that you have described could be challenging for the planning board. So what weight does this document have on the legislation or the planning legislation aspects?
Very huge. The local housing strategy does have a bearing, but it's not included consideration.
Not.
Okay, McGee recommendation? Yep. Okay, item 11 is the rent policy for temporary accommodation. Stuart, you can answer that.
The report sets out the proposed temporary accommodation rent policy, which I think align the local housing strategy and the HSCP's rapid rehousing transition plan in line with the code guidance on homelessness. Members are aware of the review of the delivery of homelessness services and a report will be presented at future relevant committee, and any change in charging levels will be brought before the Policy and Resources Committee. The proposal is to maintain the rental charges at the current levels that they're at. Standard operating procedures have been revised within the HSCP after the beginning of this.
Any questions for Stuart? No? We agree? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm quite late now. I came in
No, you're
quite
okay.
late. First of all, am I right in saying this is quite a significant change for us? This is something that we're doing that is different from what we've done before, and if so, then where's the kind of the watcher of this? Who's going to be double checking as things progress that everything's okay? And we're talking about vulnerable people in our community, so we just want to make sure that this works well for them.
So you can get homelessness lies between both HSCP and Environment Regeneration. Within the protection team, homelessness is one of the considerations there. So that's why the report has been written by Martin in the first instance. So in terms of the watching brief for it, the operation of the REC policy lies within the HSCP, but I've alluded to the fact that there will be future reports looking at where homelessness sits, and it will then be for that relevant community to consider where it should, how it's monitored.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, committee recommendations, yeah. Thank you. Okay, item number 12 is the Clyde plan. Stuart.
Strategic development plan for a successful implement for many years. So Clyde plan plans for the metropolitan city region seen as a model of best practice amongst planning circles. Since the introduction of national planning framework 4, strategic development plans have no standing. Regional spatial strategies are voluntary agreement in respect of development plans. That said, the depth of knowledge gained in regional spatial planning during the Clyde plan team was significant and worthwhile, and its retention was important. The report seeks authority to transfer responsibilities for regional spatial strategies, which we will participate the Glasgow City region as a voluntary participant. There will be a subcommittee formed of the Glasgow City region for consideration of spatial planning. It will not be a decision-making body, it will simply be for representations and for consideration of the development plans. Final decisions on regional spatial strategy will always lie with the council itself, so it's not a decision-making body. The report seeks for us to form a withdrawal plan, which is something that is part, given that it was the Glasgow and Clyde Valley Strategic Development Planning Authority Joint Committee is a formal process which we have to go through, and to transfer the requisition of funding that was previously made to Clyde Plan to Glasgow City Region. Following this week's meeting of the Clyde Plan Joint Committee, the short term, it was requested that the recommendation in respect of it being one representative and one substitute be changed to 2 representatives. Now, clearly, the final determination as to those 2 representatives will be a matter for full council. And the final recommendation is that we will have a 12-month update after the evaluations.
Sure. We're very happy with that. Yes.
The recommendation is changed to 2 members, and that's what the staff will substitute is to members.
You can be on that.
It's amended recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 15 is a tender for a delivery partner for the 24-25 Energy Efficiency Scotland-based area-based schemes. Sure.
Local councils, COS and the Scottish Government are working hard to deal with fuel poverty and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and this is covered as part of the Scottish Government initiative funded Energy Efficient Scotland area schemes ABS. The report identifies in paragraph 3.5 where £16.9 million has been spent within the as part of the area-based schemes, and also highlights the RSLs that we've worked with in the delivery of those schemes. The report seeks authority for us to go to tender in respect of the area-based schemes with an anticipated date of the 1st of July 2024 for implementation, and for that delegation to go to the legal, democratic, digital and customer services. Happy to be given the provisions to be imposed.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy with the recommendations in the report, but I have to say I regularly get constituents getting in contact with me to say, can I get access to that funding for my house? So obviously, owner occupiers, when they see maybe adjacent streets getting the investment, and there's always that complicated, right, you need to go there and check what type of house you've got, whether you've got a cavity or not got a cavity, etc. And I just think there's a bit of a communication job needed here to just make people aware in terms of this particular scheme that it's only certain types of property that would qualify for this type of scheme. So I would ask officers to think about it when we maybe get that information more generally out there, because people clearly are confused. They simply look at a house that looks very similar to their house and ask why are people living in that house getting the benefit of this investment, and why am I not getting the benefit of this investment? And you do end up in a situation where people have maybe had cavity wall insulation. There could be a cavity wall insulation in took place 20 years ago or whatever. So they're probably not getting, their house is probably not the same rating as those other houses will be after this investment. And it does, clearly this investment makes a really significant difference to people's energy bill. I just think there is a communication issue out there, and there are a plethora of these type of schemes out there. I know that the council's involved in all, and you do regularly. I sit on the board of Trading Standards Scotland, and you regularly get complaints about mis-selling out there in terms of people looking to do work in loft insulation and things like that. So I do think there is a job of work to maybe explain to the local population the different schemes that are available, who qualifies, how you access that. I would ask if officers could do some work on that.
Yep. We absolutely recognise the frustration when we got on the other side of our fence to get support and the other one doesn't. And the lead officer for this is not very good at explaining that, but I think Kirsten takes comments on board and see if we can do anything through the communication.
That's sure. Anyone else? No. Okay, we agree. Okay. Okay, from 14 is Inverquid management rules for parks in Inverquid. Emma Alshita, who's putting this. Emma.
Thank you, Convener. Yeah, this is a report in relation to the proposed 2024 management rules for parks in Inverclyde. In terms of the Civic Government Scotland Act, local authorities are authorised to make management rules regulating the use and conduct of any land owned or managed by them. The council actually does already have management rules in place for parks. They came into force in October 2014. However, in terms of the Act, management rules, once they come into force, only last for a period of 10 years before they expire, and therefore the current rules are due to expire in October of this year. The proposed rules for October 2024 onwards are attached as an appendix to this report, and the track changes in the appendix show the minor amendments made for the 2024 periods. And the main changes to the rules for 2024 are that Lunderston Bay and the Greenock Cup have been brought into the remit of the rules.
Okay,
and accordingly, the recommendation is that the committee approve the draft management rules for 2024 and authorise the head of legal and democratic services to carry out the statutory consultation procedure, which would last a period of 1 month. And following the end of that consultation, the report would be brought back to this committee on the outcome of that report, or of that consultation, sorry. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Emma. Any questions for Alice?
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that there. And I see that these rules don't apply to country parks. And so I heard Lunderston Bay and the Cornwallis are mentioned. You know, just confirm that these rules don't apply to these places. They will. I thought that country parks, that's part of the country park.
Emma, can you clarify?
There's an appendix to the rules which show the parks which will be covered. Currently, Lunderston Bay doesn't come under the remit of the rules, but the proposed rules for 2024 would include this. I'm not sure which country park you're referring to.
Well, we had the Clyde Mutual Regional Park, and we took those areas over. And I thought it was still considered like a country park within indoor life. So I'm surprised. I mean, that's contrary to what it's saying in the report here.
So you can get yeah, so previously, and at the last definition of these, we still had the Clyde Mutual Country Park, but the assets were still in the council. And although it was managed through the Clyde Mutual organisation, we are now no longer part of the Clyde Mutual organisation, so we will be taking over running these parks directly. So the intention is that both Lunderston Bay and the Cup will now fall under these management rules.
So to what extent does that go out? Because the country park includes, you know, you said it's the council's ownership, so it's not getting state's ownership. And all the farms are, you know, owned by people within the parks as well. Some of them are against, some of them private.
It would be purely the Lunderston Bay sites that the council basis from again, as you say, and the extent of the Cup and the footpaths around the Cup. It's not going to be like the national parks areas that you would have in the Cairngorm area, for example. It's those specific locations. So it's the walkway around the cut itself, not the farms adjacent to it, and it's the Lunderston Bay Park site. And I'm going to assume it'll include the footpath leads from that rounds towards the marina, but not the farmland around it.
Thank you.
Just to clarify in terms of the sort of legal status, the Clyde Mutual Country Park Authority has been dissolved.
Yes.
Right, so there's no longer a legal entity. Yeah. So you can still call it Clyde Mutual Country Park. It's not a legal entity, it's just land which is in various ownerships. This is the land that we either own or lease.
We can at this land which is identified as Mutual, so Clyde Mutual will be Clyde Mutual. So there's a wetland grounds area was the former country park or Mutual Regional Park. But this relates to the specifics of Lunderston Bay and Cornwallis being included in the park management rules because previously they've been qualified for the park.
It would actually be good to get some clarification exactly to where those boundaries would be.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Innes. I think you've picked up that, and it's one of the things that I picked up the Clyde Mutual Regional Parks Green Cup Visitor Centre because I think it'd be good to get clarity about it being the cut, which includes the visitor centre, because at the moment it doesn't sort of like cover that within the text. That it's actually the green cut that's actually going to be part of these rules. And I think just obviously for purposes of our management rules, I think it'd be important to get that clarity so that as Councillor Nissen was saying, and get an idea exactly what's been covered by these rules would be very useful.
We can do that. Yeah, okay. Can we agree on recommendations?
No.
Thanks very much. Then memorial benches and memorial flowers. Now, somewhere in my mind, we had a policy of how we dealt with them and take them away. I don't see anything within this. So just clarity of how Davy's management of our parks include the memorial benches, and if not, should it not be included within these rules? Because it becomes increasingly challenging for so many constituents. And some of our public areas that are not parks do turn into cemeteries.
So you can do clearly we got a policy to the Environment Regeneration Committee which identified locations for park benches, and then where we were replacing park benches, we were encouraging members of the public to replace them with trees as part of the green agenda. They're complementary. I don't think that there is a requirement for us to introduce it into park management rules, but that's something that we can go away and have a look at.
Okay, it's all I was people with flowers and even they're buying physical containers which don't biodegrade, and there's a massive issue. So officers could look at it and have issues.
Okay. John.
Thank you, convener. Under radio controlled equipment 7.5, which is on page 191 of the hard copy, and I just wonder if there's anything covering the likes of drones, which obviously is radio controlled, but within certain areas, i.e. the Murderson Dam area, we have nesting swans, there is ducks that nest there. So is there anything that covers protection of nesting birds? It just clearly states, or any animals in the public park. I take it that also includes nesting birds as well.
No. Peter? Good question.
In relation to nesting birds, I could discuss with the service clarifying that within the rules. I can take instructions on that.
Yeah.
It's not expressly stated in the rules.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose I think it's just make sure we've got it covered, that we don't have.
So if you get it, just correcting myself, I think mentioned them in the background, so it's not the cut itself that's covered by the rules, but it's the visitor centre requirements. Okay.
But maybe then I just sorry, I do apologise. I would seem to be that it might be a case for actually including the cut, because the cut is effectively a public park. So
it's part of it.
In reality, it's used for walking, it's used for there's people, dogs, etc. You know, it's maybe something that maybe we should do.
You start to run into problems because you get farmers who, you know, they're out in their quad bikes, they're running around after sheep, lambing time and all this, and they actually do drive on the cut and things like that. So if you bring in rules that people can't drive, you know, like what was been said in there, you can't drive motorcycles and things, and that could cause problems. I mean, it's a farming area, isn't it? It has to be looked, I think, more like a farming area than a park.
Yeah, 4.51, it says the protection of animals, birds and their habitats and nests is covered by the Wildlife and Country Act in 1981, and that is part of this management. So I'm assuming the Act of Parliament supersedes any management rules, and the Act of Parliament is mentioned within our management rules.
Very okay. You can help with that then, Stephen.
I was going to make that very point, but thanks to Councillor Brown.
The question
that point. I wasn't actually, because it's within legislation. But in terms of Chris's point about extending, we're talking about management rules, so it's what we're actively managing that should be included in here. We're not actively managing anywhere. You should exclude it.
Okay, can we agree on recommendations? Yeah. Okay. Item 15 is a report on single-use vapes. Stuart.
Apologies to the committee. Clearly there was a request for a report on single-use vapes. It's been outstanding for some considerable period of time. So I apologise to the committee that it's taken so long to bring the to committee. I also apologise in terms of the level of detail in respect of the report, because much of it has been superseded by the fact that the government has taken a very clear initiative in respect to single-use vapes. What I can assure members of the committee is that, as well as the activity by the Scottish Government, officers from public protection will be making and have been making attempts to address the antisocial use and terms of the selling of single-use vapes to children. We will have an initiative after the exams in respect of single-use vapes, but I'm happy to take any questions in respect of the funding.
Thanks, Peter. I'm disappointed in the report. It's not often that I would sit here and say that, but it was many months ago that this became, or taking action on this became the settled bill of the council, and we've had to request again for simple updates on this to happen. And in the meantime, this has become an increasingly dangerous situation for predominantly young people in Inverclyde, not just young people, but predominantly young people in Inverclyde. And we know that there are young people who are are being harmed and are harming themselves with the use of nicotine products in the form of vapes, who would never have taken up, or probably never taken up, cigarette smoking. It's become a really huge issue in our community, which was emphasised to us at Client Conversations, engagement with young people that we had just a few weeks ago. This is a huge issue for young people, and it is frustrating that it seems that very little has happened over the intervening period since this became the settled will of the council, and there might have been things that we could have prevented. There could be harm that we were able to prevent. We already have resource for test purchasing that we use for age-related products such as alcohol and tobacco. We asked for that to be pivoted to include vapes, and I think it's to happen, but I don't know that it has happened. We asked for consultation to go out, or not even consultation, but a request to go out to other authorities who had done successful, put in place successful actions. We speak to councils about many other things all the time, and we don't seem to have spoken to councils about this particular thing. And I worry that we've not seen this as the public health issue, the care of our young people and the protection of our young people issue that it is in the community. And there's been a lot of harm that's been done by us not doing very much in the period since the decision to take action on this as an issue became the settled will of Inverclyde Council.
Sure.
Really can, I'm not picking up the defending the principal councillor option, but I can assure you that the test purchases have and action has been taken in respect of the sales of single-use vapes, but we have not progressed as quickly as the second floor of the council as we could have, and for that reason I have apologised.
Any other member? No. Can we agree recommendations? Good. I should miss. Glenn? Yep. Oh, sorry.
That's Colin, in the wrong spot. So I'm just conscious that a number of things in here mentions the school estate. So is there obviously we've got the test purchase, the issues that come with this committee, but there's a lot of mention of the schools. So I've got kind of questions about the schools and the trial going on in there, which I'm not sure is this committee will there be a similar report going to education community so that we can have the discussion around our secondary schools and the issues there.
Sure.
I think the report highlights that there has been some initial interventions within the schools with regards to vape sensors, etc. But I think that in terms of the success of that, it should be the top of the education.
Yeah, and the education piece that's mentioned there as well, right? So we should get another report to the education committees then.
Just come back in. Yeah. Thanks for letting me say my piece on the frustration that I have with where we are now. Moving forward, what's the kind of, will we get further reports? Are we going to get more updates in terms of what's happening? How do we keep this and the actions that we can take? I understand that the Scottish Government have made a legislative decision, but the powers that are available to authorities still remain with us at this moment in time. And I'm just wondering where we go with onward reporting and this still being a live issue that we keep on the agenda.
I propose to committee that we bring back the report after summer recess.
Yeah, I don't think very difficulty. I recognise the harms and the dangers caused by singing vapes, but we hope that the harms and dangers of tobacco and alcohol as well. So I suppose if we're looking at the general harms, we should be looking and get reports about what we're doing in terms of addressing the harms through illegal sales of tobacco and illegal sales of alcohol.
Okay, no. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, can we agree recommendations now? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, item 16 is the flood risk and surface water management protocol report. Eddie.
Thanks, Savina. The current operational protocol for flood risk and drainage impact assessments and associated guidance for developers was approved by the committee back in January 2016. Significant changes in planning policy introduced through National Plan Framework 4 have necessitated a review and the issue of football and associated guidance document with the updated versions of those attached to events 1 and 2 in the report. That's the committee note report through the recommendations of the Senate report. I think that's any questions.
Thanks, Evan. Any questions, Evan? Chris?
No, just to say that I welcome this. It's certainly something that definitely deals with a problem with respect to developments in floodplains, and it's, I think, myself and Councillor McCabe have communications regarding previous developments in floodplains in Colliers Village, and a policy like this, I know it would certainly go a long way to solving these issues, and hopefully would aid to stop this happening in the future. So it's great to see this policy, and I certainly welcome it. But it's amazing that that it's no criticism of anybody. It's just quite amazing that there's been that this policy coming in and other previous policies has been based on the experience we've had with respect to housing being built in floodplains, and we're still living with that experience today.
Yeah. Can I just confirm that this isn't just for floodplains, this is for everything, and will that apply to pump applications? What does that do?
Sorry, Councillor Nelson, can you say the question again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Sorry, is this just floodplains and relating to roads, or is it for everything regards planning?
No, it's for every application.
Right, and if this is approved today, what's that apply to live applications?
Through your chair, sorry, it will apply to your application.
Right, thanks.
Okay. John.
Thank you, convener. While I welcome this report, the one thing that seems to be requiring addressing is the weather has been changing. We seem to have having more rain. Ground level water seems to be an issue. Has that been, or will that be addressed as well, where we are seeing significant increases in groundwater levels? Because obviously that does play a part in the flood risks.
Gordon?
I think it takes into account everything, Councillor Crowther, so yes, it will do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can we agree with recommendations? Yeah. Okay, item 17 is the Energy and Climate Change Scottish Government Public Consultations. Eddie?
Thanks, Convener. The report provides the committee with copies of the consultation responses submitted on behalf of the council on the heat and building consultation and the social housing net zero standard qualification. A summary of what both of these consultations cover is included in section 3, detail in the appendices captioning the responses which were coordinated between the officers of the Energy and Climate Change team and Public Health and Housing team. Committee's request to note the report on behalf of the council.
Thanks, Evan. Any questions for Evan? No. Can we agree with recommendations? Okay, item number 18 is a property asset management public report. Consultations on land at the Wall Garden in Gillett Park and land at Walking Gates Drive in Dummercombe. Eddie?
Thanks, Convener. The report has 3 items. First of all is the open space consultation on the Inverclyde Shed proposal to lease a small area within the Wall Garden in Gillett Park to create a community garden and growing space. There were 21 responses received, 19 in favour of the proposals. These are included in the appendix to the report. The second item deals with an update on the open space consultation carried out on proposed disposal of land at Walking Drive in Kilmacombe. We were hoping to be able to bring a full report to this committee, however, the negotiations with the developer had not been progressed sufficiently to allow us to do that, but we will be able to bring that to the main committee. The last item covers the remembering together labyrinths and the remit from the last committee to ensure that our consultation was undertaken members and community councils, and the report confirms that this is made in place, including discussions with the relevant state. So the committee is requested to approve the recommendations, and the group part item will be further considered in the private part of the report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Evan. Stuart, you want to come in for the questions?
Thank you, Convener. During the course of this week, Convener was remiss of not to advise the committee that Inverkip and Dean Speaking Council have written to me today to advise that they are not comfortable with the introduction of the labyrinth at Lumberston Bay, and they would like for that to be not granted. And I would just put that on the table for members.
Okay, Councillor Cassidy, did you have your hand up there with Stuart? What were you going to say?
Yes, thank you, convener. Yeah, I raised concerns our last committee when we had a paper before us on this about the kind of consultation process that was run, the lack of engagement with community councils, and I particularly as well highlighted my concern that the site at Lunderston Bay was meant to represent the villages of Inverkip and Wimsby, despite, as colleagues will know, Lunderston Bay is not within the Inverkip or Wimsby village boundary, nor is even within the southwest ward. As colleagues will see, the sites that have been proposed are in all of our towns, and one's in Kilmacombe to represent Kilmacombe and Quarriers Village. So I do think that it is fundamentally unfair that we don't have one that's situated in either Inverkip or Wimsby to represent both villages, and that's something that the Community Council has expressed to me along with a number of my constituents. They also particularly expressed concern to me as well about the accessibility of the site at Lunderston Bay by foot and public transport, and they fundamentally believe that there's a suitable site within Wimsby and the expansive park behind the Wimsby Community Centre, which I think is an ideal site. It has ample parking nearby, access to a regular bus route as well, so therefore it meets a lot of accessibility requirements. As Mr Jameson just indicated, the Community Council had wrote to him to express their views and their disappointment on the Lunderston Bay site, and as Mr Jameson just said, they'd requested that committee not proceed ahead with the Lunderston Bay site, and after listening to Wimsby, which is one of the community councils in my ward as well as my constituents, I'm moving an amendment to the report at 2.3, which will replace the recommendation 2.3 with the following: that committee grants consent for the installation of the Remembering Together Labyrinth at Greenock, Gourock, Port Glasgow and Kilmacombe, subject to the full council sitting as trustees of Burkmire Park granting permission for the installation of the labyrinth at Burkmire Park, Kilmacombe, but does not consent to the proposed installation at Lunderston Bay.
Okay, so
I suppose that really what I'd like to remind committee is that this isn't a council project. The project has been live as part of an arts project, and the only thing that the committee are being asked for permission for is the use of the land. What Councillor Cassidy has suggested is well within the scope of the committee, but it's not. The council obviously could not select these locations.
we're happy to accommodate Paul's request. Yes.
I don't need to, it's just about timescale, obviously. I know the discussions we had in Kilmacombe with respect to actually doing these works. The plan was to start construction quite quickly. I'm just wondering if there was a delay to the Wheelsbury and Inverkip, would that actually what would that cause to the overall project and the ability for actually there actually be a labyrinth in Wheelsbury and Inverkip?
The previous report identified the time criticality associated with the projects. I know that the lead officer from Regarps is not in the country at the moment because of family concerns. But what we will do is, if it was the committee's mind not to support the Wemsbury, Inverkip and Wemsbury location or thereabouts, then we try and make contact with the office to see what the impact on the project would be.
So we'll get the recommendations to take into account what Paul's said.
Great.
Yeah. That's okay, thank you. Okay, item 19 is Full crap.
Right.
Double ground.